Since humans first cleared the sands away from the Great Sphinx, ancient Egypt has captivated the imagination. Archaeologists and historians have been obsessed with it for the previous 2 centuries. It's a place whose mysteries we've been quietly deciphering for years. Even after all this time, there is still a lot we don't understand. Some of the ancient world's most important discoveries are still buried under the sands of Egypt, waiting to be discovered. The majority of the time, such discoveries merely add to the mystery and unresolved questions. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about some Egyptian mysteries that terrify scientists. What do you think these mysteries are all about? And what make these discoveries so mysterious? To answer these questions, let's jump into the video. The first one we are going to talk about is the lost Labyrinth of Egypt. A vast labyrinth existed in Egypt 2,500 years ago that surpasses even the pyramids, according to one witness. It was a large structure with 2 levels. There were an incredible 3,000 chambers within, all connected by a meandering maze of corridors so complicated that no one could find their way without a guide. There was an underground level that functioned as a king's tomb at the bottom, and a large roof fashioned of a single big stone at the top. Countless ancient writers claim to have seen it personally, yet we still don't know where it is 2,500 years later. The only item that comes close is a gigantic 300-meter wide stone platform that some say was originally the labyrinth's foundation. However, if such is the case, the most important stories have been lost to the passage of time. In 2008, a team of geo-radar experts surveyed the plateau and discovered what looks to be a subterranean labyrinth similar to the one described by ancient scribes. Nobody has ever dug it up or stepped inside of it as of yet. We won't know for sure whether we've discovered Egypt's greatest archaeological wonder until someone makes it into the labyrinth. The next one is the mysterious death of King Tut. When King Tutankhamun died, he was just 19 years old and no one knows for sure what happened to him. His death remains a total mystery, but not because he was in his prime. Tut's death is a mystery since he had so many problems that it's difficult to say which one killed him. King Tut's health was abysmal. For one thing, he had malaria, and he was born with so many hereditary defects that historians believe his parents were brother and sister. He possessed a clubfoot and genetic abnormalities that, according to some, may have rendered his death. He also had a shattered skull, which archaeologists felt was a clue that he'd been stabbed in the head for a long period. Today, it's thought that his head was just broken during the embalming process, but the potential that he was murdered hasn't been discounted. He also fractured his knee shortly before he died, leading to speculation that he perished in a chariot accident. But if he did, riding aboard that chariot in the first place was an odd choice. Tut was so malformed that he couldn't even stand up without assistance. It might have been anything, or a flurry of various things all impacting him at the same time. The only thing we know for sure is that in his final month on Earth, King Tut did not get any good news. If you are enjoying the video so far, then don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's move towards our next mystery, the hidden chamber of the Great Pyramid. Pharaoh Khufu ordered the construction of the world's largest pyramid 4,500 years ago. It is a gigantic edifice that stands almost 150 meters tall and is made up of over 2.3 million stone blocks. Despite this, there appeared to be only 3 rooms inside until recently. You're not alone if you think that's a lot of wasted space. That's why, in November 2017, a crew surveyed the pyramid to check if there was anything that they had overlooked. They discovered traces of a vast secret chamber above the Great Gallery of the pyramid, which might be as enormous as the pyramid's largest room. The funny thing is that the Egyptians purposefully designed the concealed room to be inaccessible. It is not connected to any corridors or walkways. They may have filled the room while building the pyramid and then sealed it afterwards. Could they have put anything inside? What do you think about it? Now let's talk about the Dendera Lights. A large relief depicting a weird scene may be seen on the wall of a temple at Dendera, Egypt. It depicts a serpent in a large ball of fire flying out of a lotus blossom while being supported by a pillar with human arms, according to popular interpretation. It's a strange image and happens to resemble a model of a Crookes tube, an early light bulb created in the 19th century. In fact, it resembles a light bulb so closely that some people believe it's a design describing how to construct one. That's the type of notion you normally hear on the History Channel from tall-haired lunatics, yet they have some frighteningly plausible evidence. The only chamber in the temple without fire-burning lights is the one that displays the Dendera Light. Except for this one, archaeologists have discovered evidence that proves Egyptians burnt lights in every other portion of the structure. So, how could they see anything if they didn't have an early form of a light bulb in here? Why did they bother placing such an exquisite artwork on the wall if the room was pitch black? The disappearance of Queen Nefertiti is another mystery of Egypt. Queen Nefertiti is famous for being one of Egypt's few female rulers. She was the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten and the mother of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, and she is thought to have conquered Egypt and governed on her own. Despite the fact that the tombs of previous pharaohs still stand tall in Egypt, no one has ever discovered Nefertiti's last resting place. Years have passed since the quest for her grave began. Until 2018, experts were almost certain they discovered her grave in a hidden room within King Tut's tomb. However, they thoroughly inspected the wall in May and discovered that there was nothing there. It's also worth noting that her death isn't mentioned in Egyptian history. All reference of her spouse Akhenaten fades away around the 12th year of his reign. Some say it's because she became pharaoh and assumed a new name, but not everyone agrees. Some believe the solution to this puzzle is a little more commonplace than we may expect. The simplest answer, according to Dr. Joyce Tildesley, is that Nefertiti was never a pharaoh at all. People made a great deal out of Nefertiti in the 1920s, according to Dr. Tildesley, because a sculpture of her face became famous and they just wanted her to be popular enough to believe it. We don't know what happened to Nefertiti because she wasn't a particularly significant figure. Now let's talk about the destroyed pyramid. Djeddefur's pyramid should have been the highest peak of any pyramid in Egypt. Djeddefur made certain of it. He didn't have the finances to build the largest pyramid, so he devised a small trick to ensure that the apex of his tomb was just a little bit taller than everyone else's. He constructed it on a hill. However, although all of Egypt's other pyramids are still intact after thousands of years, Djeddefur's pyramid has been completely demolished. The only thing that remains is the foundation. Nobody knows for sure what happened to it, but there are suggestions. Some believe Djeddefur merely died before much of the work could be completed, leaving his pyramid in ruins. Others believe that 2,000 years ago, Romans mined it for the stones, destroying a great historical landmark. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you liked it and it increased your knowledge on the ancient Egyptian technologies. For more videos like this, you can visit the channel. Also, don't be afraid of giving suggestions on future videos in the comment section.